Hey Astro fans! It's more topical astrophysics this week, as on Monday, NASA unveiled convincing evidence for a subsurface ocean on one of Jupiter's moons, Europa. Now, this is not just any ocean, they think these oceans are global, so that means they cover the entire subsurface. So beneath the huge thick layers of ice on Europa, there is meant to be an ocean that goes all the way around the moon. Even more exciting is not only an ocean, but that there is evidence to suggest that there are water vapour plumes being expelled from Europa's surface. The icy surface of Europa is thought to be miles thick, and these plumes are estimated to reach 125 miles above the surface, so really high. This is a pretty big announcement, because if we wanted to explore Europa's oceans before, we would have had to drill or dig through those miles and miles of ice. Whereas now, we can just get a little spacecraft to go and fly by and collect and sample some of the water. Thanks Europa for giving us an easy job. Now this deep ocean water that is being expelled to the surface by these plumes could contain organic chemicals or even traces of life. And we get to test it all without super complicated machinery. This is pretty cool. Something else about the plumes is that they are transient. So there were 10 images taken of Europa, but only 3 of them contained evidence of these plumes. So that means the activity is quite sporadic, and sometimes they're in different places too. But Josie, how were these plumes detected in the first place? Initially, teams were aiming to look at just the aurora interactions between Europa and Jupiter. They were using the Hubble Space Telescope back in 2012, and the instruments they were using were special spectrograph instruments. So this relates to a technique called spectroscopy. And spectroscopy basically is just a way of looking at light that can tell you what elements are in an object. So it could be a moon's atmosphere or a planet's atmosphere or the surface of a star. What started to get astronomers excited was the chemical signatures of water vapour shooting out from specific spots on Europa that did start to look like plumes. So to double check and get more evidence for this, recent observations from late 2013 to March 2015 looked at Europa again, but this time with a different technique. They still used the spectrograph part of the instrument, but they directly imaged, so they took photos of Europa in the ultraviolet part of the spectrum. What they did was they looked at the shadow of Europa and its atmosphere on the surface of Jupiter. And what they saw were these beautiful little silhouettes of these plumes. So it looks like the evidence is stacking up pretty well. However, NASA is very keen to say that this is not proof. This is evidence, and this is the most likely explanation. We will only have proof when we go close up and see it in really extreme detail and are able to sample the water. Europa itself is about the same size as our moon. It is the second closest Galilean moon to Jupiter. A Galilean moon is just the ones that Galileo saw, so it was Europa, Io, Ganymede and Callisto. There is geological activity all over Europa, so Europa has a very smooth surface, and if you compare that to our heavily cratered moon, you can sort of infer that there must be something that is being expelled and then replenishing this smooth surface, which the water plumes fit in with pretty well. On top of all this exciting news, it brings us new questions. Is there life beneath the surface of Europa? How do the plumes get to the surface? What is the mechanism that does that? Does the water just push through the ice and erupt? Or is there a reservoir that collects and then it gets pushed out that way? With a future close-up mission, we will be able to start answering these questions. And who knows what we'll find. Until next time, keep being curious.